What's up, YouTube? Have you ever felt scared of emotional intimacy or getting too close to someone, or you just feeling close was too scary for you, so you like pushed them away? In this video, we're going to be talking about all about the fear of intimacy and what it is, and like causes, and just getting deep dive into the whole thing. So, coping strategies as well. What's up, YouTube? Again, my name is Kellyanne Rose, and I am so excited to just get into it. So let's dive in. So, the fear of intimacy, it's also sometimes referred as like intimacy avoidance or avoidance anxiety. It's characterized as like the fear of sharing a close emotional or physical relationship. And people who experience this fear, they don't usually wish to avoid intimacy and may even like long for closeness, but frequently they push others away or even sabotage relationships nonetheless. So, fear of intimacy can stem from several causes, including like certain childhood experiences, like history of abuse or neglect. Overcoming this fear and anxiety can take time, both to explore and understand the contributing issues and to practice allowing greater vulnerability. So, first of all, what is intimacy? It's important to know that refers to the ability to genuinely share your true self with another person and relates to the experience of closeness and connection. So, some define different types of intimacy. We've got intellectual intimacy, so the ability to share your thoughts and ideas with another, emotional intimacy, the ability to share your innermost feelings with somebody else, sexual intimacy, the ability to share yourself sexually, experiential, the ability to share experiences with another, and spiritual intimacy, the ability to share your beliefs beyond yourself in a higher power or individual connection to others and the world. And all of them are very important, and all of them can be very scary. I mean, think about it. Like, it's very hard to share yourself intellectually with people, and because you could be rejected if somebody doesn't agree with your viewpoint. And emotionally, if you share like how you feel about somebody, maybe they're not gonna feel the same way about you. Sexually, I mean, that can be very hard to get close to someone for many reasons. Maybe you're embarrassed of your body. Maybe you didn't feel respected as a kid, or I don't know, like, or just like from previous partners. Let's see, experientially, the ability to share experiences with another. I mean, that's like deep trauma, right? If you can't share your experiences with another person, um I mean, there's just fears of intimacy altogether, just being able to share experiences. Sometimes you just, you got that trauma that hits deep down and it's hard to do. And then spiritually, these can all happen. So, the fear of intimacy may involve one or more of these types of intimacy to different degrees. So, what is the fear of intimacy? It's separate from the fear of vulnerability, though the two can be closely intertwined. And I have to say, I got all this information from this article called Very Well Mind, and verywellmind.com. And yeah, it's just like an important topic for me today because I'm realizing that I have my own fear of intimacy, and it's hard to talk about sometimes, and it's hard to realize, and I don't know why I'm scared to get close, but I definitely want to explore it. So that's why we're talking about it today. Let's talk about it. All right. So, for someone who fears intimacy, the problem often begins when the person finds the relationships becoming too close. And that is totally what's been happening to me lately. It's freaking me out. It's freaking very scary. Causes. So, fear of abandonment and engulfment, and ultimately a fear of loss are, you know, the cause for many. Um, Although the fears are different from one another, both cause behaviors that alternatively pull the partner in and push them away again. And so I do that. I do that. I admit it. So those fears are generally rooted in past childhood experiences and triggered by the here and now of adult relationships, leading to confusion if a person focuses on examining their relationship solely based on present day circumstances. Fear of intimacy can also be linked to anxiety disorders, and that is me. I think that's definitely makes more sense for me. So there's all these different fears here. All right, we got fear of abandonment. Those who are afraid of abandonment worry that their partner will leave them Whew. This fear often results from the experience of a parent or other important adult figure abandoning the person emotionally or physically as a young kiddo. Fear of engulfment. We've got those who have engulfment are afraid of being controlled, dominated, and losing themselves in a relationship. And this fear sometimes stems from growing up in an enmeshed family. What's an enmeshed family? We're going to look it up because we're learning here together. Enmeshed family. I don't know. That seems too complicated. A dysfunctional family dynamic passed down through generations. We recreate family dynamics that we grew up with because they're familiar. Enmeshed family dynamics of an enmeshed parents create unrealistic expectations regarding the meaning of emotional needs, strong family bonds, and future relationships. Oh gosh, that's just like a whole nother video topic. So we're gonna have to learn about that. But you know, I'm not coming on here to like appear as the like expert because honestly, that perfectionism, like I would never grow and I would never help anyone. I would never get any content out. I would like you're never going to be the expert. The best time to teach is when you're learning. So here we go. We've got the best source right here, verywellmind.com. We're talking about the fear of engulfment. And now we're talking about anxiety disorders. The fear of intimacy can also occur as part of a social phobia or social anxiety disorder. I don't have social anxiety, but I have anxiety. So fear of intimacy as a subset could be a subset of those conditions. So people who are afraid of other people's judgment, evaluation, or rejection are naturally more likely to shy away from making intimate personal connections. Who cares what people think? It is so freeing when you just let that stuff go. Just let it go. Life is so freeing when you stop caring what people think. In addition, some specific phobias, such as the fear of touch, may occur. Okay, so this is not pertaining to me, but there's just obviously so much to learn here. I mean, if you are pushing your partner away, or your mom, or you get too close to a friend and you push them away, I mean, there's like a balance here. People get busy with life, so it's like, when is it healthy to like, okay, you only have so much time in it, like in your life, so you gotta, yeah, it's good to have relationships and connect with people. I'm just like not one to settle ever. I just want to like keep learning, keep growing, keep doing things, keep taking action, doing fun activities, having fun. And yeah, just want to like experience life other than what I'm just doing, always sitting at the computer. But let's talk about the risk factors for fear of intimacy. So, risk factors for fear of intimacy often stem back to childhood and the inability to securely trust parental figures and caregivers, which can lead to attachment issues. Experiences that may increase the risk of fearing intimacy include enmeshed families. While enmeshed families may, on the surface, appear to be loving and supportive, boundaries and roles might be blurred and lead to issues with attachment, independence, and intimacy. Emotional neglect. Parents who are physically but not emotionally available send the message to their children that they, and by extension others, can't be relied on. I think everybody has some sort of thing, you know, no parents are perfect, and I'm not blaming mine. I love mine. But yeah, I mean, it's nothing to beat ourselves up over. I think it's kind of easy to feel that scary relationships are hard. It's like the hardest thing in the world, and it's kind of scary to get too close to someone sometimes. So we've also got emotional neglect. Oh, we said that, loss of a parent, parental illness, parental mental illness, parental substance abuse, physical or sexual abuse, and neglect, verbal abuse. So fear of intimacy is also more common in people who are taught not to trust strangers, in those who have a history of depression, and in those who have experienced rape. So, taught not to trust strangers. I was definitely taught not to trust strangers. But, I mean, that's good because you don't want to like teach your kids to just like go take candies from a stranger. Traumatic interactions in relationships outside the nuclear family, such as a teacher with a teacher or another relative or peer who is a bully, may also contribute to fear of intimacy. I don't think it's like I have that big of a it's like a that big of a problem for me, but I think that it's just like important to explore and point out, why not learn about ourselves so we can be the best selves we can be. Let's talk about signs and manifestations. The fear of intimacy can play out in a number of different ways in any type of relationship, whether romantic, platonic, or familial. Fear of intimacy can just play out in so many different ways. It's important to note that the manifestations of an underlying fear of intimacy can also often be interpreted as the opposite of what the person is trying to achieve in terms of connection. For instance, the person may strongly desire close relationships, but that their fear prompts them to do things that cause problems forming and sustaining them. I, for example, have a perfect example of that. The other day, I definitely did something to push my partner away because I was scared. And it's scary. It's very scary. Serial dating, fear of commitment, perfectionism, difficulty expressing needs, sabotaging relationships, difficult with physical contact. Let's talk about difficulty with perfectionism. Underlying fear of intimacy often lies a feeling that a person does not deserve to be loved and supported. This leads to the need to be perfect or prove oneself lovable. Difficulty expressing needs. A person with a fear of intimacy may have difficulty expressing needs and wishes. Again, this may stem from feeling undeserving of another's support. Because partners are unable to mind read, those needs go unfulfilled, essentially confirming the person's feelings that they are unworthy. This pattern can translate into a vicious circle, one in which the lack of a partner understanding unexpressed needs leads to a further lack of trust in the relationship. There's just so much to explore here. How do you know? How do you know if you have intimacy issues? Watch out for the following signs if you in yourself that may indicate a fear of intimacy. 1, an inability to express what you need and want from those in your life. 2, poor communication or avoidance of serious topics in your relationships. Sometimes I feel like there's just so much stuff made up. I mean, psychology is a huge topic, and how can you just remember all this? There's just so many different things to pick apart. Or ignorance is bliss. Maybe it's just better not to know all this stuff, but I'm going to keep going. Another one for how you know if you have intimacy issues, number 3, trouble trusting your partner with important matters or decisions. 4, an unwillingness to share your dreams and or goals. 5, purposely sabotaging relationships once you begin to get close to the other person. 6, avoiding physical contact with your partner. Not me. 7, refraining. Well, I just need time alone because I'm an introvert. 7, and lastly, but not least, refraining from being spontaneous or adventurous. In the bedroom. Treatment, professional guidance. Wow, there's just so much here. So this is kind of not fun to talk about because it's just, who wants to talk about fear of intimacy? I mean, it's just a deep dive topic that we can deep dive into always. However, this article just says, give yourself some time, look at your goals. What do you really want in life and long-term intimate relationship? Is that what you want? And if so, how have you pushed people away in the past? And tune into your inner dialogue that leads to the manifestations. The inner dialogue that leads to the manifestations of a fear of intimacy is often deep-seated, and after living a lifetime as your own inner critic, it may seem normal to you. Look at your past. Most of us don't want to negatively think about a parent or parental figure, but try to honestly evaluate your childhood relationships in an effort to zero in on possible contributions to your fear of intimacy. Think about, and we're not just talking about in the bedroom, there's all these emotional, spiritual, we talked about all the different kinds of intimacy. Think about the messages you received in your family and compare these with the messages you should have received. If you had a neglectful, abusive, or engulfing parent, recognizing that your relationship with your parent is not the only model for intimate relationships may help you realize what might be possible in terms of intimacy. Give yourself time. Overcoming fear of intimacy doesn't happen overnight. Even when you feel like you have gained ground, you will inevitably have setbacks. So grant yourself forgiveness when this happens and speak kindly to your inner self. Try not to view your fear as a character flaw. Instead, try to look at it as simply something that likely stems from your distant past so that you can work through in order to have a better future. Research has also shown that positive relationship experiences can be beneficial for those who have issues with intimacy. Having such positive experiences may improve your ability to form intimacy over time. Advice for loved ones: if it's your loved one who's coping with the fear of intimacy, you'll need to practice patience. Setbacks are perfectly normal and to be expected. Establishing safety and trust is of utmost importance so that your loved one can begin to open up. Try not to react personally or with anger if your loved one tries to push you away. Recognize that they are not rejecting you, but rather that they fear that you will reject them. So keep your partner's fear of abandonment, rejection, or engulfment in mind as you think about their words and behaviors. Their upbringing may cause them to interpret an action in a completely different way than yours. For example, if your partner's coping with the fear of engulfment due to growing up in an enmeshed family, surprising them by saying, "We're going on a trip," may not be a loving and pleasant surprise at all and may reinforce their fear of being controlled. So instead, providing clear choices and making sure your partner is involved in all the decisions might be interpreted as more loving. I'm trying to be a little bit more flexible because I like surprises and yeah. Um, Regular reminders of your love through both words and actions are important. Don't assume your partner feels loved. Rather, create an environment that supports the fact that they are deserving of it. Most importantly, let your partner know that getting past the fear is a team effort. While you are likely curious, it's not important for you to understand how this all started. Instead, what your loved one needs is support and a willingness to listen when they're ready to share. Finally, keep in mind that fear of intimacy usually rears its head in relationships that a person cherishes, not those that are superficial. It's also usually triggered by positive emotions instead of negative ones. So that, my friends, is very interesting. If you have a partner who has fear of intimacy, it's interesting that it usually shows up when you're cherished, not those that are superficial. It's also triggered by positive emotions instead of negative ones. Wow, scary. Totally happened to me this week. I admit it. As much as this boring article may seem boring to you, I'm learning. This is what I'm going through this week. So, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. And this is Kellyanne Rose coming to you from my YouTube channel. If you are learning and growing and stuff like me, hit subscribe. I got more videos on the way, and we will talk to you soon. Merry Christmas. Take care of yourself. And don't be afraid to keep your curiosity, keep asking questions, Google those questions, look up the videos, look up the articles, find the answers for yourself. I happen to be a Scorpio moon, and I just learned from my girlfriend Carrie the other day that I'm like not afraid to go deep and just like stay there. And I've been so deep lately. I'm just like doing all the shadow work. So shadow work is great because the more dark you go, like the lighter you can be too as well. So I wish you lots of wellness in your shadow work if you are doing it alongside me. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you next time. Bye.